Hey there! With it being summer, I've been playing quite a bit of ranked recently, so I thought I'd make a quick video on the champions I've been finding the most success with. As a quick notification, these champions are all my own personal opinion. I found that quite a few of them actually have good win rates overall, but these are the champions that I personally have been using. Let's start with my go-to top lane champion this patch. Maokai is a champion that I think is honestly flying under the radar a little bit. Obviously he was the meta top lane for quite a while, but after many nerfs, the ex-king of the top lane has been forgotten. Even when the changes came through, I think people got so caught up in the AP support Maokai hype, and the subsequent nerfs that he got, that they forgot about his other roles. He tanks up like no other champion, and honestly is the only champion I've played with this patch that can actively feel unkillable. His top and jungle win rates are really decent, coming in at 52% and 56% respectively. And with Fiora being righteously slapped down this patch, he's lost one of his worst matchups. His crowd control is so reliable, so even if you have the mechanics of a tree, you can pull him off. Basically, if I'm playing a top lane tank and not a carry top laner, it says a lot about how strong that tank is. As a primarily mid lane player, we're going to go on to my first mid lane champion for this patch. Diana is a champion that I've always had a soft spot for, and given that I was playing her even before the changes, she was almost certain to remain a solid pick, at least for me this patch. The changes were buffs in almost all aspects, though her base attack speed does feel a little clunky if you're not using her passive. I feel like she's actually a really good pick into a lot of the lethality users right now, with her shield and her build giving quite a bit of survivability, but she's also really good at dealing with ADCs. And if I'm honest, I feel like we're still in a meta where teamfights are decided primarily by how much your team and their team's ADCs do. If you're silver or below, I highly recommend picking Diana up. People just don't respect your damage, and honestly, as long as you can hit your Q and are willing to play passive pre-6, she's really not that hard. On to my jungler for this patch. Kha'Zix is probably the assassin who, in theory, has the most counterplay. Just don't be alone and his damage is much less. The issue with this patch is that he doesn't really need his Q for damage. Once he's got his Duskblade, he just jumps on you and can proc both his passive and Duskblade with one auto attack, and this deals some absurd damage. And then if he's smart with his invisibility, he can do that 2 more times. Now at level 9 with Duskblade and Warrior, that's a total of 1,614 damage just from a few autos, and that only gets worse as the game goes on. Honestly, this just isn't really okay, and whilst I'm loving playing the reset bug again, the fact that he doesn't even need isolation, his core mechanic, means that Kha'Zix is definitely one of the biggest Duskblade abusers, and really a great champion for climbing this patch. On to the final of my 4 picks for this patch, and it's another AP assassin, but with a very different playstyle. Kassadin is the ultimate late game assassin. You have easily landed abilities, high damage, innate survivability, engage, escape, even some crowd control for good measure. But that's always been true for Kassadin. The thing that's really pushing him over the edge is his early laning. With Deathfire Touch and a high AP rune page, he can just spam his Q onto his opponents, and almost function as a lane bully, kind of like Pantheon really. Once you get level 6, you start becoming an absolute nightmare to deal with. Your laning and trading remains good, but you also have great roams and are very difficult to gank. Since my top 4 only includes the solo roles this patch, I'm going to include the champions I would choose if I were auto-filled to either of the bot lane roles. So let's start off with the ADC, Jhin. As a person who doesn't play a lot of ranged champions, orb walking is one of my main weaknesses, so Jhin is basically a godsend. Jhin has the advantage of being an ADC that doesn't actually really need insane mechanics. You can win fights with solid positioning, and your crowd control and damage makes Jhin just one of the best ADCs to play if you aren't great at the role, at least in my opinion. He's also really strong this patch, though I will say that I still prefer the crit build over the lethality build for him. And rounding us up in support, we have Thresh. I've always seen him as the Lee Sin of bot lane, able to do anything you want but having low enough stats that you need to be able to use these tools optimally to win. So if Thresh has a positive win rate, it means he's likely overtuned. He brings Engage, Disengage, and his Lantern is still probably one of the strongest basic abilities in the game. Plus, he's stupidly fun.